I find it quite funny that the people complaining about the Irish flag being a symbol of racism or anti-immigrant are not foreign people themselves, but they're Irish people. The videos that I have seen of members of county council and different political party members talking about the Irish flag as being a sign of anti-immigration and being intimidating to migrants are not migrants themselves. It's not migrants having this conversation or stating this. So, how can you speak upon things that you don't experience yourself? And that's the level of the game that's being played, right? It's all manipulation. It's all to generate reactions out of people. And I really urge you people to not react to some of these things, some of these games that are being played, because the more you react to it, the more you're playing into the hands of those that know the game. They're playing the game of division, the game of separation. Most foreign people don't pay attention to it, and not only in the sense they don't pay attention to it, they don't find the flag offensive. They get on with it, right? Because there's nobody coming outside of the housing and saying, as a foreign person's walking down the road and saying you don't belong here and things like that within most of the estates. And again, one of the things I will say to people, right, about Ireland as a whole, and because when I do make some of these statements, people tend to say, you're dismissing racism in Ireland. No, right? One thing I will say, there are elements of racism in Ireland, but there are incredibly more elements of good within this country. And the Irish people should be recognised for the progress that this country has done in terms of integration, in terms of race relations, adopting to the change in a short space of time. In the space of, I'd say 20 years, I'm here 24, 25 years. In 25 years, a lot has changed dramatically and significantly in a rate that most countries haven't dealt with that rate of increase in terms of diversity. And the Irish people were at the forefront of that. This is something that a lot of people forget. The improvement in relations in this country, a lot of programs that are set up in this country to help, foreign people, to help people of different backgrounds, different ethnicity, different race, different colour. All of that was supported and spearheaded by Irish people and many Irish organisations. NGOs that are within this country, they're heavily supported by Irish people. Without the Irish support, none of these things would come to pass. So when you do label a country or a people racist, when they are, without them, one, you wouldn't have the life you have here. One, you wouldn't have the opportunity or the resources that we have here. There's a high level of gratitude that has to be paid to that. And it really bothers me that it's the Irish government, it's their own people that are doing this and playing this game of really hurting their own people. But I will say this to people, a time of change is coming. Good change, and I do believe there is a solution, there is a way. I think there's things in place that will solve a lot of these problems that are, the current state of affairs within this country. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter of being smart about certain things and being strategic about certain things. But the people cannot buy into this game of division that's being played. It's all lies. You look at you look at some of the interviews that are being shown online of Irish people and members of the left. That's how they label themselves, right? Members of the left. It's not foreign people that are saying the Irish flag has an issue. The majority of people saying it's Irish people. So which doesn't make sense because you don't have the foreign experience. I always say this to people. And I remember when I was quite young, I had a situation and I had an incident where I was racially abused on a football pitch. And I remember when we went in and my manager was asking me, Tayam, just calm down and things like that. And I lost it. And I said to him, you don't know what it feels like to be black. You don't know what it feels like to be racially abused, right? And at that time, racism in this country was higher than it is now, incredibly higher than what it is now. There's elements of it, but nowhere near what it used to be before. Like, absolutely not, right? And I do say there's elements because it's a small amount. If people focus on that, then it gets bigger, but it's not. And one part I will say, racism is being kept alive by people that keep talking about racism. Nonetheless, in that incident, I said that to him, you don't know what it feels like. So if I get insulted and I get called the N-word and somebody racially abuses me on the pitch, you don't know what it feels like because I know the history behind that. It's in a similar category that I'm going to say it now. How is it that it's Irish people saying the Irish flag is offensive to foreign people when it's not foreign people saying it? And those Irish people that are saying it I highly doubt they have experience, or they're dealing with a lot of foreign people or foreign groups that are coming to them in huge numbers and saying, we feel intimidated in our community because we're seeing Irish flags. Foreign people are not saying that. Foreign people look at it and like, oh, that's Irish culture, that's an Irish flag, that's nice. That's what the majority of people are saying. And the reason I say this, and this is what people don't understand, because I've had one or two people attack me, and I always say, when it comes to the African community or communities that are diverse, be careful on the approach you say to me, because what do you do for that community yourself? At what level are you engaged? At what level are you having conversations? Because I have a lot of conversations with lawyers, I have a lot of conversations with legal representatives, I have a lot of conversations with people dealing with immigration, dealing with different things when it comes to minorities, right? I have a lot of conversations and a lot of involvement in a lot of different projects that have went on in the past towards racism, towards diversity and inclusion. So I know many community leaders. And this is not the conversation community leaders are saying. These are not the problems that are being brought to community leaders. If anything, community leaders, and I, I've had conversations, and I said, well, why aren't you stepping up to have this conversation in a more public setting? You're hiding away, and we're having this conversation internally. Where out there, and we need to highlight the fact that this is not the sentiment of minorities in this country. This is not the sentiment of foreign people within this country, that Ireland is racist. And all of this stuff that's being put online is a bunch of BS. And there are small minorities of people that they're easily influenced and they're easily triggered to play the victim. And by playing the victim, they get attention and sympathy online. But in reality, this is not the real case that's going on. And again, unfortunately, many people don't have the courage to do what needs to be done. And it's not to boast myself, because there is backlash on the back of this that people do face to a certain extent. I personally couldn't give a crap beyond that, because my only objective is to deliver that which is within me, that I find worthy, that I find truthful. Then I have to follow that. I'm guided by my own moral compass, and I cannot betray my moral compass in position of pleasing other people, or in position of feeling safe and secure that I only speak for my own community and that's it. No, there's this thing I read when I was younger, and it says you have to be a voice for the voiceless. In a situation where people's voices are shut, and you have the voice or the leadership or the capacity to speak out and support or to take action, then you have to do that. So I cannot betray my morals. I won't betray my morals, but many people have betrayed their morals. Because when you sit back and you analyze this situation and take your feelings out of it, and look at it from a neutral perspective, is what's going on right? No. Is how the Irish people have been treated by their government right? No. Are Irish people racist? No. Have they supported us? Yes, absolutely. Have you had your racist experience? Of course, who hasn't? But Irish people have had racist experience, right? And I've stopped the whole concept. Even I'm going to stop using the word racism, because all it is for me is discrimination. People face discrimination across the board. People get discriminated for being fat, for being ginger, for being too pale, for being blonde, for being red, for being black, for being Chinese, for being all of these. People get discriminated. It's just discrimination. That's what it is, right? By people that are uneducated, people that have their own insecurities, and they just put that on other people. That's all it is. Let's stop making it bigger than what it is. True racism is not what we are experiencing right now. So let's cut that conversation let's just drop that out of the equation. Personally, I'm dropping that out of my equation, and it gives more strength if you do that. Honestly, let's stop the stance of being victims and progress. Progress correctly and collectively.